Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson, Industrialization in the Progressive Era. Let's begin. The objective today is for students to identify and analyze the effects of industrialization on living and working conditions, including the portrayal of working conditions and food safety in Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. We have a warm-up, analyzing and answering. For a brief moment, we're going to take a couple of seconds to examine this political cartoon. I just want to let you guys know that a lodger is someone who occupies a rented room. So yeah, a tenant, a boarder, however you want to call it, a lodger is basically the British term here. Now that we've taken that brief moment, we can answer the following. The city that is referenced here is Chicago. That is correct. Second, what industry do we notice? I heard food. And I also heard beef. Those are both correct. In general, we're thinking about the meat industry. What seems to be the cartoon's message? This has an asterisk because it is tricky, but it does challenge our minds. Alright, I see you guys have some trouble. I'll help you guys out here. Why is analyzing important? We're taking the most important job of a historian. We're approaching each source with our own skills, and this causes us to interpret a source differently. So how do I interpret this? I take a look at the image itself. We're noticing a terrified landlady with her tenant. It seems that he fainted. He's about to have a nice dinner. Unfortunately, his corned beef didn't pass the vibe. You see there's commotion. We don't even know if it's corned beef. It looks like there's rodents in there. The lodger has a fit and is supported by the landlady. Now, what does this say about the meat industry? Are they taking care of their meat well? Is the American public shocked? Are they all aware that this is happening? We're about to find out soon. But I just wanted to have you guys take a look at this political cartoon just for future reference. Here's our standard, and here's our historical thinking skill, interpretation and evidence. Now, in industrial America, we're going to contextualize ourselves in the 1880s and the 1890s. America fever is popularized in Europe. This means that many immigrants are coming to America because at the time they saw it as a land of opportunities. People can have political, religious freedom, economic opportunities, and industrial jobs. These are the pull factors that are pulling the people from the countries to reside in the United States. This is an age of urbanization and immigration as well. We also regard that immigrants are not only coming from Europe, they're coming from other parts of the world too. For this lesson, we're noticing here that European immigrants, they are forming part of the labor market that is crucial to the rise of industrialization. Employers notice that these people will work for low wages, and they will take advantage of their hard labor. In the urban environment, at the same time, we are noticing these changes in the family structure and work habits, where American society and the economy as well is transforming from a previously agricultural one to a mass-produced, urbanized economy. Meaning there's more mouths to feed in the city, and there's social unrest with industrialists. And we will see why is this the case in the next slide. Here we have progressives. What are progressives? A set of people that are reacting to problems in factories and cities. They're concerned about what is the best way to control these big businesses. And out of this group a minority of socialists argue for public ownership of industries. We have to remember that socialism is a philosophy that the European immigrants are taking from the old world to the United States. It is basically a philosophy that strives for government regulations and their higher participation in society. At the same time, Christian social gospel, Christianity being an integral part of American lifestyle, is creating this demand for better housing and living conditions. Why are they doing that? It's because we have to refer back to industrial capitalism, where there's mistreatment of workers that are providing that hard labor. And this will affect their families and impact their social mobility in America. We move on to muckrakers. That's a foreign term for us here. I'll help you guys break down that definition. President Roosevelt states in the speech, "The men with the muckrakers are often indispensable to the well-being of society, but only if they know when to stop raking the muck." As a Republican and a politician, President Roosevelt liked large-scale enterprises and even said the corporation is here to stay. He did not approve of these journalists and activists, the muckrakers, who wanted to uncover social injustices, basically the dark side of industrialization. Because if they uncovered this, he would have to have a bigger role in government. He did not want to do that. Now we notice here the goal of the muckrakers. They wanted to push for social reform, advocate for workers' rights, and fight political corruption. Now that this is a modern day example, we notice that now we have unions, and we're thinking, how could the muckrakers be an enemy to President Roosevelt? It's because this form of journalism paints a bad image of the government, and President Roosevelt wants to avoid that. Now we move on to the jungle. Upton Sinclair is this young man and writer. He was a native to Baltimore, Maryland. He grew up with two different social settings, so he knew what it was like to be poor and rich. On the poor side, his father was an alcoholic and a liquor salesman. On the rich side, his mother came from an affluent family. They had a lot of wealth, and he noticed that with his grandparents every time he visited. At the age of 10, he moved around quite frequently because his father's business was not doing so well. At this time, he learned that he loved to read and that he had a passion for writing. And from the age of 17, after finding ways to make income, such as writing jokes, selling his ideas to writers, he was able to help his family purchase a home. That's pretty impressive for a 17-year-old. And once he's in college, he notices that he has an affinity for languages, and he learns a lot of things when he's in college as well. Once he leaves college, he gets married, and then he starts to learn about socialism. And he starts to write for this socialist magazine called Appeal to Reason. Meanwhile, he starts to go undercover. He decides to work in the meatpacking industry in Chicago and write about his observations. This leads to him creating the novel, The Jungle, that tells the story of a Lithuanian immigrant family who wants to have the American dream. It never occurred to me that he would write about such an experience. But I wonder why a Lithuanian immigrant family? His personal background, Upton Sinclair's background, is English. His family has been here since the Civil War. But I think that it's very unique and it's touching that he's able to break down the complexities of the immigrant experience that was happening during this time. And of course, the novel touches on many different themes, where it's capitalism, exploitation, the American dream, and his favorite, socialism. Now we're going to check for understanding. We have the Edpuzzle here. Talks more about the jungle. It's 5 minutes long. It's not too hard. You guys will do amazing. I just know it. Now that we're done with that Edpuzzle, we're going to go into what the assignment entails. For the Flipgrid, you guys will create a 1-minute video practicing your presentation skills, referring to the passage in the Google Doc that is from the jungle, discussing how this passage alone would make someone feel about eating meat, working hard about your opinions here, and how you were able to persuade an audience. You will also make an oral pitch about why someone should read this book or make a film about the jungle. So you have 2 options there that you can think about, and while you're making this Flipgrid, please make sure that you are maintaining eye contact, you're speaking clearly, you're avoiding gum chewing, you're filming in good lighting, and most importantly, you're having fun. And we have this rubric here on this slide. If you guys really, truly care about your grade, you can refer to the guidelines there, the expectations, basically underlining that you need to have content, you need to have flow of speech, and your presentation length must meet that 1-minute requirement. If you guys have any questions, you know how to reach me. Now we go into the discussion, where the title of the jungle can infer so many different things. It can infer that the jungle itself is a wild environment, and that can include the meatpacking industry, uncovering the horrors of the meatpacking industry, where we see the jungle as an exotic place that can insinuate a dangerous environment. For the second question, the jungle is an effective piece because we are able to understand how industrialization has its negative social consequences and economic ones as well. Upton Sinclair is able to validate his socialist claims because the workers did not have great conditions, and they were also a disposable labor force. Third, why did he want to help out the workers? Simply, he wanted them to have better working conditions, and he was very concerned about their well-being. And what other questions do you guys have about today's lesson? You can always ask me, email me, anything that you find online that correlates to this lesson. And we move on to the reflection aspect. Your goal is to utilize the evidence of the jungle. You're going to interpret the effects of industrialization in your journal, writing 2 to 3 complete sentences on how the jungle impacted your view of industrialization in progressive America. And lastly, I just wanted to talk to you guys about the quiz. The quiz is not too long. There's also a bonus question there just in case you want to have extra credit or you feel like you didn't do well on one question. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns for me, I will be here. Other than that, thank you so much for your participation. It's always valued. I love to see your lovely faces on camera, and I will see you guys next time.